We are live. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Knicks Recap podcast. I'm your host, Troy, and you could be anywhere in the world this afternoon, but you chose to be here with me, and I really appreciate that. Shout out to Knicks Nation. Shout out to the chat gang. We're definitely going to get to your comments very soon, but we have a lot of Knick topics to cover today. We're going to talk about how the Knicks ruined the Houston Rockets trade plans. We're also going to talk about a former Knick trying to make an NBA comeback. And of course, like there always is nowadays, we have another hater alert for the Knicks, and this time it's featuring an NBA legend. So we're going to get to all of those topics and a lot of other things today, but I want to start off with some of the most I want to start off today with some of the most important topics. And for me, that's regarding the Knicks and their trade plans. For the last few weeks, we have been hearing that the Knicks are looking to make a massive trade for either a center or a backup center. Now, as the weeks have gone by, the Knicks have not been able to pull off that trade. Not only that, but they have shifted their trade targets a number of times to different people. Now, it happened to start with Walker Kessler, then it went to Jalen Duren, then it went to Alfred Sengun, and a couple of other names. And now we have no other names to speak about because even though the Knicks are looking to make a trade, they are still unable to do so. And many fans have been asking the question, why? What's the biggest reason or the biggest issue causing the Knicks not to be able to pull off a trade? Well, thanks to an NBA executive, he helped break down exactly why the Knicks are having obstacles in making a trade for a backup center. We're going to talk about all of those reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now and make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are dealing with a massive obstacle in a trade for a center. As I said to start off the show, for the last few weeks, the Knicks have been attempting to trade for a center. And that's because when you look at the free agency market, there are no centers available there. So the Knicks can't go there to sign a center. They have to trade for one now if they want a backup. And it's clear. Mitchell Robinson, his injury history. Jericho Sims, how young, how inexperienced he is. It's giving the Knicks a lot of concerns. And because of that, they are continuing to look for a center they can trade for. But again, they have been running into obstacles. They have not been able to pull off that move. And the main reason why? Well, thanks to an NBA executive, he helped reveal that it's because of the Knicks picks that they're including in these trades. Their picks, unfortunately, are just not good enough. Let's go ahead and break this down today. So according to an NBA executive, he states the following. Absolutely, they should, he's talking about the Knicks, should offer all they can for a center that is perfect for Tom Thibodeau. And of course, the problem is, according to this NBA executive, is that the draft capital that they have is very bad. The Pistons would definitely want 2 picks for Jalen Duren, for instance, if they were looking to trade for him. But the thing with the picks are that the Knicks have left is you can't really say that they're going to be first rounders. They're not as valuable as they might look. So again, according to this NBA executive, the main obstacle for the Knicks in terms of making a trade for a backup center has to do with their trade assets, most specifically their draft picks. They have 2 protected picks that they can include in any trade. I believe a 2026 pick swap, so they can include that in a trade as well too. But again, 2026 trade swap. The Knicks are going to be a very good team next year. That's not really desirable as well too. So when you consider all of that, that seems to be the main reason why the Knicks have been shifting trade targets and still to this day unable to pull off a trade for a backup center. But let's continue here with these reports. According to the NBA Insider and, of course, theheavy.com, they state the following. The 2 picks the Knicks still have are protected. They have Washington's picks, which is in 2025, but it's protected picks 1 through 10 next year. The Wizards are almost certain to be among the 10 worst teams in the league. The Knicks would get Washington's pick in 2026, but that is protected for the top 8. Again, Washington is likely to be among the 8 worst teams that year too. After that, the pick converts to a second-round pick. So as you can see there, with that information alone, the Knicks have this Washington pick. And then after 2026, that pick converts to 2 second-round picks. The fact that that's the case, think about it if you're another team and you want to give up a backup center that you think is a very good piece, but you're getting something back. Are you going to be okay with getting a pick like that may never convey, and when it does, it's second-round picks, and you just gave up a player that you really like? Is that something that you are okay with, that you're happy giving up? A lot of teams, maybe not so. And that's the Washington pick that's protected. Now we're going to go to the next pick, which, of course, it's still protected. It's a similar story with the Detroit 2025 pick. The Knicks will only get it if the Pistons are not in the top 13 of the draft in 2025, which is unlikely. It's top 11 in 2026 and top 9 in 2027. There is a good chance that that pick will convert in one of those years, but if not, it becomes a second rounder. So again, more risk. If you're another team and you're looking to trade with the Knicks, and yeah, the Knicks can give you a Jericho Sims. Yes, they can give you a Precious Achiuwa sign and trade. Maybe they don't want to include Deuce McBride, but then you have to include those picks. What team is going to want Sims, Precious, and 2 of these protected picks? Both of them may not convey and turn into second-round picks for somebody that they consider a very good piece. Because if we're looking to trade with the Pistons, for instance, and we're going after Duren or Isaiah Stewart, one of those guys, they're going to want legitimate picks back for because they like those guys. They're young pieces, and they could help another team if they were over there. But you have to make the price make sense. The Knicks right now cannot get that done. And that's why they have been shifting trade targets each and every week. We started out with Walker Kessler. We moved on to Jalen Duren. Then we were at Alfred Sengun. Then we were at Nick Richards. Then it was a high veteran center that made a lot of money. Then it was one of those guys. And then after that, it was Clint Capella. Then after that, now we're still looking for the next particular trade target the Knicks are going to go after. Or if they're going to circle back and go after one of the other, or if they're going to circle back and go after one of their older trade targets that they were looking at to start this offseason. We're not too sure yet, but either way, the Knicks are still looking for a center that they can back up Mitchell Robinson with, and they're doing so by looking at the trade market. Because if they wanted to sign Achiuwa, they would have done so already. If they wanted to get another potential center, who we're going to break down, because there is a free agent center that is available right now that many people aren't talking about. We're going to get to him later on in the show. The Knicks could potentially go after him. They have options, but it's clear if they wanted to go the free agency route, they would have done that. They didn't. They're continuously looking at the trade market because they know, like we all know, right now is our window to win. And while we could roll the dice with Precious, we could roll the dice with one of these maybe okay free agent centers that remain. But in reality, the way to get better and stay good is to get a young center that can play backup minutes, but can also start, can also play starter minutes in case Mitchell Robinson goes down with injury. That's what you need if you're the Knicks right now, and that's what they're searching for. But as long as they have these issues with these picks, they're likely not going to get that young center. That's why they're looking at high salary veteran centers around the league, maybe on a 1-year deal that's left from them for their contract, because maybe their cost is going to be relatively low. They can get them on this team and at least for a year, see what they can do with that roster. And then at the trade deadline, or maybe in the next offseason, you try to address the center situation again. But it's coming down to a point where the Knicks have to make a decision. They need to decide on what they're going to do here. Are they going to go after a free agent, go with Precious Achiuwa? Are they going to do a sign and trade for another center on the market that's available via trade? They're going to have to make a decision because going into training camp, we cannot have any questions. We need to know our full roster, our full core, the core that's going to be playing significant minutes on that court each and every game. We're going to need to know that roster backwards and forwards because we're going to need to gain that chemistry in order to make sure that we can be that legit threat, that legit contender in the league moving forward. Before we go to the chat and get to your comments, because I know you guys are going off and I appreciate you guys today, I want to go after a potential trade idea because I did mention this NBA executive was talking about the fact that the Knicks are still looking to make a trade, but the only problem is they can't make a trade at this point in time because their trade assets, those draft picks that they have, they're not desirable. However, in that same article, TheHeavy.com had an NBA insider in Sean Daverney, and he gave the following trade package or trade proposal, I should say, that he would like the Knicks to go after and go into for this particular offseason. And here it is right now. So according to theheavy.com Sean Daverney, he states he wants the Knicks to trade for Jalen Duren and in the process, give the Pistons 2 first-round picks and Deuce McBride. Now, he wants the Knicks to do that because he understands Jalen Duren on this team playing backup center. And if Mitch goes down with an injury, he could play starting center. That's a huge thing for the Knicks. He's young. He can develop into a better defender under Tom Thibodeau. He already has an amazing offensive game. And the only thing you're losing in that package is Deuce McBride. Now, I say that to say Deuce McBride is important. I'm not going to say he's not. And he is somebody that I want to keep on the Knicks. And I think the Knicks want to keep him. They didn't include him in the Mikal Bridges deal. They did that for a reason because they like Deuce McBride and they don't want to trade him. But if they can get a player like Jalen Duren and all it's going to cost them is Deuce and those 2 protected picks and you retain everything else, you get Jalen Duren, you're going to make that move. Now, honestly, I think the only way to make the money work is to include Precious Achiuwa in the deal. So you're likely going to have to include a Precious Achiuwa sign-in trade in that deal. So let's say you add that as well, too. But if all of those factors are there and the Pistons would be okay with it, I would make that deal. I hate to see Deuce go, but we're talking about Jalen Duren as a backup to Mitchell Robinson in our championship window right now. I'm doing this deal. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in it. I know you guys are going to kill me in the comments. Feel free to do so because I don't care if you guys are always going to agree with me. Sometimes we're going to disagree. That's what helps basketball conversations. But in my opinion, Deuce should not be traded for just anybody. But if Kessler's on the table, if Duran's on the table, and that's the package, let me show you guys again because maybe you guys didn't catch it the first time. This is the trade package that theheavy.com Sean Daverney wants the Knicks to go ahead and go after. They want the Knicks to go after Jalen Duren and for the Pistons to get Deuce McBride and these 2 first-round picks. That's it. That's the trade. And that's why I would do it because it helps the Knicks today and it helps them in the future. Now, it does help the Pistons as well, too. They get their first-round pick back. Even though it wasn't going to convey, guess what? They have control over it again. That means they can make trades with it again. And that helps the Pistons. They also get a very good young player on the bench in terms of Deuce McBride. So that helps them as well, too. In my opinion, this trade that makes the most sense for both parties involved, especially if you're a Deuce fan. Because if you want to see Deuce play a lot of minutes, you know he's not going to play a lot of minutes this season with the Knicks because we have so many other players that are likely going to get minutes. And I'm not going to say Deuce is going to be irrelevant. He's going to play off the bench, but its minutes are going to be reduced. So I ask you, do you want to keep Deuce even though his minutes are going to be reduced and you miss out on a chance to get Duren? Or you get your backup center and potentially your starting center for the future in Jalen Duren and you're giving up Deuce McBride, which hurts. But again, he's only going to play limited minutes and you have the players on your roster that can help soften the blow. Because yes, you lost Deuce, but you have Campaign there. You have Tyler Kolek there. You have other players that you can still lean on and still look toward the future with. And that's all I'm saying. If that's the trade, I'm doing it. But what does an NBA executive think? Does he think if the Knicks offered this trade package to the Pistons, would it be enough to get it done? Well, thankfully, we have that information today as well, too. Shout out to theheavy.com for giving us this information. According to them, that trade package might not be enough, according to them, that trade package might not be enough to get the Pistons to budge. Duren is the ideal backup big man for the Knicks, capable of starting when Mitchell Robinson can't go and with the potential to develop into an eventual replacement for Robinson. Duren averaged 13.8 points and 11.6 rebounds last year, his second season in the NBA. He's a walking double-double in his second season in the NBA. He can develop, he can get better, he can become an even better defender, and his offensive game is already there. And he can run the floor with the best players on the court. And what does that mean for Jalen Brunson, who is always penetrating and creating? And you see a monster, a big like Duren, coming into the paint, rolling into the paint. That's easy money, easy buckets, easy scoring each and every time. And I know sometimes we think that Jalen wouldn't find Duren if he was cutting. But you know what? He found Precious when he was doing it. He found Isaiah Hartenstein when he was doing it. I guarantee he would find Jalen Duren by doing it as well, too. But as we just heard from the heavy.com, the trade package that we just reviewed might not be enough to get the Pistons to budge enough in order to get Duren to let him go and give him to the Knicks. Maybe the Knicks have to include that pick swap. Maybe they have to include that Precious Achiuwa sign and trade. Maybe if they include all of that and they hope and pray, maybe the Pistons give us Jalen Duren. But that's what I think it would possibly have to take. And that's all the Knicks have to give. And it would be up to the Pistons at that point to see if they want to even make that trade package happen. And in my opinion, the only reason that they would even entertain that trade package is because we're giving them back their first round pick. That's why they would consider it. But whether they would do it or not, it's anybody's guess. I don't like losing Deuce. But if I'm losing Deuce and I'm getting Jalen Duren, I mean, what are we doing here? I'm sorry. Deuce Hive, I love him. But I love this Knicks team more. I love winning championships more. And I know right now, Duren is more important than Deuce for this team. And I'll stand on that take because I absolutely mean it. But let's go to your comments. Let's go to the chat, see what you guys have to say because it's clear. You guys are going off. It's Friday, and I'm happy you guys are with me. We're going to go to this chat, and then we're going to go to a couple of other topics because you guys know I'm not done there. There's just so many other topics to get to. Before I go to the chat, though, guys, got to mention like I always do. Subscriptions are live, and also so are memberships. Subscriptions are free. Memberships are not, but memberships give you a little bit more perks. You get access to videos earlier. You get to see all the insanity that I do on the back end. You get to have live streams one-on-one with me as a group. All the members get to do that when we build up that community. And you'll get to be able to chop it up with me, ask me questions. You want to know how I do my show, how my setup is, all those things? You'll be able to ask them right there. It's very simple to become a member. You just go to the channel page, you go to the subscription aspect, and then you'll see right next to it, become a member or join as a member. You hit that, and there's different tiers you can choose from. You have a rising star, you have all-star, and you have Hall of Famer for the guys that want to go all out. Either way, I love the subscribers. I love my members as well, too. And you can join now if you just go ahead to the Knicks Recap page and you tap that button stating join now as a member, and you'll become a member right away after you do a couple of sign-up procedures. But I appreciate you guys, and thank you guys for always showing love. But let's go to the chat and see what you guys have to do. All right. James is here early. Guys, the resident Knick hater, James, is here early on the stream. Shout out to James. I appreciate you, man. You're the only person that comes to a Knicks stream that shouts "Go Nets" and is happy to do so. But I appreciate you guys. Let's see what you guys have to say in terms of the comments here. Sharon says they can afford to give up McBride with their guard depth, and the Pistons get a replacement big for depth. That's what I'm saying, and I'm glad you said that, Sharon. Great comment. So just to go back to Sharon's comment, for everybody who missed it there, she stated that the Knicks can afford to give up McBride with their guard depth, and the Pistons get a replacement big for their depth. She's talking about if the Knicks were able to include Precious Achiuwa in the deal, because the original deal, as I said, is this. The Knicks get Jalen Duren, the Pistons get Deuce McBride, 2 first-round picks. This is not a real deal. It's a mock trade given to us by Sean Daverney of theheavy.com. But if that trade was on the table, I know the Knicks would do it. I would do it. I'm sure a lot of you guys would do it as well, too, no matter how much you love Deuce. But even Sharon stated, if we had to include Precious Achiuwa in that deal, which I think you would have to do just to make the money work, I think the Pistons would do it because they get their pick back. They get a big back. Yes, losing Duren is not great, but they're rebuilding right now. They have a lot of issues at the center spot as it is right now. And Duren would probably make sense for a contender right now. And the Knicks are a contender. So very good comment, Sharon. I really appreciate that. And I do agree. The Knicks may have a chance right now to take advantage of Detroit and the situation they're in. And to an extent, Detroit can do the same thing with the Knicks because both teams are desperate to make a trade, make an upgrade, and change their futures a little bit. Detroit's future is a couple of years away. The Knicks, it's right now. Great comment, Sharon. Thank you. Let's keep it going here. Let's see. Even Best, that's my guy. Even Best, what's going on, brother? He says, I would like to get Bol. I think he signed with the Suns, is he not? I think if you're talking about for the Knicks to trade for him, that's a good one. I actually haven't heard that before. I don't know if the Suns would do it. They're not really in trade mode right now. It's good to think about the Suns, but I don't think they would trade for anybody right now. They're living with the fact that they're going to be a luxury tax team, going to likely pay a penalty unless they can fix the situation in 2 years. They have till 2026 to fix their tax situation. They're going to go into the year above. They're not going to try to add anything to that at this point in time. They're going to try to operate within their means as best as they can. And then come 2026, they're going to make a decision. I think they feel like if they win a championship at that point in time, it'll justify this crazy amount of salary that they have right now on their books. But that's anybody's guess. The Suns owner, in my opinion, has lost his mind. You don't do this if you're a franchise. You're tanking your future for maybe a year or two, and you have no idea if it's going to work out or not. And if it blows up and blows out, where do you go from there? Your fan base is going to lose faith in you because of all of the moves you're making without a real plan in place for the future. The Knicks, way better onslaught for that because we have a plan for the future and for now. And you can see it with the rookies we drafted. So that's a good question. Bol, though, I don't know if the Knicks would even probably go after him, even if he was available. Because I think the trade, in Phoenix's point of view, they would want a lot more because they would want more to trade for more to get another player that they deem significant on their roster. So good prospect, I guess, but I don't see it happening realistically now. Maybe Troy, the trade deadline, if he starts to play well, the Knicks think they need him. Maybe it works out, but not bad. Good question. Let's see here. Nick P says, stop devaluing our guys, sign and trade Precious for something. It's not devaluing anybody, and I appreciate your comment, Nick. I'm not devaluing Precious or anybody like that. I think Precious is who he is. He had a great season last year, but there's a reason he's not signed with a contender right now. There's a reason he's not going to get that much money. And the reason he's waiting for the Knicks because he knows the Knicks are going to pay him the most money. That's the reason why. It's not hate. It's just facts. And the fact is, if Precious was enough to get you something in a sign and trade, don't you think the Knicks would have done it already? In my opinion, they would have. But I appreciate you. My goodness, James, what is going on right now with you, bro? Just going off, man. It's okay. I understand. Listen, when you're little brother and you have little brother syndrome because you're looking at the Knicks, you're looking how great we are, we're going to win a lot of titles, a lot of chips. You see that and it hurts. And I understand. And I guess this is your form of therapy. So I don't want to take that away from you. But, therapy also is about telling the truth. So James, allow me to do so. The Brooklyn Nets ain't anything. They ain't going to be anything. They're not going to be talked about unless it's about laughing at them. And for years to come, they will be considered the team that constantly created big threes just to devalue those big threes and get nothing back in return. But I appreciate you, James. Let's keep it going. Anthony the Caesar says, I said it once and I'll say it again. If the Pistons trade Duren to the Knicks for Deuce and either Achua or Sims and 2 protected picks, Pistons should fold up the franchise for trading a 20-year-old center. You are right about that, Anthony. It would be crazy to think that the Pistons would accept the deal like that because it would ask them to accept basically devaluing assets besides Deuce McBride for a rising star in Duren. And Duren looks like he's untouchable right now. One of the best rising star centers in the league. I'll give you that. He still needs work on defense. So coming here for Tom Thibodeau would be great. But honestly, it does seem very difficult to believe that trade package would get it done. However, if they're desperate enough to move him, for whatever the case may be, you never know. All I'm saying is we didn't know Mikal Bridges was going to be a Knick. We thought it was going to be crazy, right? But what happened? He ended up being a Knick anyways. Same thing could happen here. Don't discount Leon Rose and everything he's done for this Knicks organization. Every time we say he can't, he proves to say he can. So right now we're saying no to Jalen Duren, right? Let's see what Leon Rose has to say about that. Let's keep it going here. Let's see. Jeremy Brown says, James thought Bridges wasn't possible. Hadn't learned a thing. Drip Moore says, you're Knicks Nation. We up. What's going on, man? You're. Ecom Joe says, Nets always going to suck. You guys had 3 stars and didn't win. I agree with that. Abdul says, James, I understand you're sad. It's okay, man. Damn, they're going after James. I appreciate you guys. Just called me. Nitro says, what's up with Walker Kessler? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The last report I did on Walker Kessler was on Monday. And on that report, I stated that the Knicks at this point in time, we're not really looking at Walker Kessler because the price tag was too high. It was significant. And at this point in time, that's still the same thing. It hasn't changed. But good question. I appreciate you. One more question, and then we're going to go to the next topic we have here, because we're going to talk about a center. There is another center that's available, free agent. We're going to talk about him. Last topic. We're going to go. Big Task says, happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday to you, Big Task. I appreciate you. Brandon says, and it's going to be our last question before we go to the next part here. He says, how do you feel about JJJ? JJJ meaning Jaren Jackson Jr. Great question and a good way to segue to the next part we're going to talk about, which is going to be the next centers that the Knicks potentially could go after, or available centers. JJJ is amazing. I like JJJ, and I think Jaren Jackson is a very good player for his role with the Grizzlies. I think he could be better if he had his own team. I think he could be better. Not saying that Ja holds him back. I just think that an offense needs to be built with more of him involved in it, because I don't think they run a lot of plays for him. He's very good defensively. He cleans up a lot of the glass. Sometimes when he's in the paint, he just gets the ball or they pass to him because they get doubled. But he doesn't get a lot of plays run for him. I think that if that happened a little bit more and he had his own team, he'd probably be a better player. So I like Triple J. I don't like Triple J for Julius Randle, though. And that's the trade you would be telling me for in order to make that move to get Jaren Jackson Jr. on this team. And I'm not doing that trade. I'm not trading Julius Randle, our three-time All-Star, somebody at this point in time right now who is a better player and a better fit than Jaren Jackson Jr. would be on this team right now. Julius Randle cannot be traded for players like that. Not saying Jackson is a bad player. He's not. He's a great player. He's going to be an even better player. But that should tell you how good of a player that Julius Randle is, that I wouldn't want to trade him for a player like Triple J. Jaren Jackson Jr. is good. Julius Randle is a great fit for this team, and the only way you should trade him is for an all-star or a superstar that makes sense. And right now, that player doesn't exist. And if Jaren Jackson Jr. was available, he would not be the player I trade Randle for either. If you're talking about making a different trade to try to get him on this team, I would listen, I would entertain it, but ask yourself, would the Grizzlies entertain it? Because I would say no. At this point, the Knicks can't get him because we don't have enough assets to give up in a trade to get him anyways. Not any assets we would feel comfortable giving up now. That means we'd have to wait till the trade deadline or next offseason. So Jaren Jackson Jr., good player. Are the Knicks going to get him? No, because they're not going to trade for him, because the likelihood is if you trade for him, you're going to have to give up one of your core pieces. And the Knicks did not give up everything they just did to get this core together, just to ruin it, to try to get a Jaren Jackson Jr. and think potentially maybe it could work. Chemistry matters in this league. And if you don't have chemistry, but you have talent, it doesn't always work out. If it did, the Phoenix Suns would be the champions right now. They're not. They weren't. They didn't even get to the dance. They didn't even get to the finals. And that means a lot. But it's not all hopeless here. Let's say the Knicks can't get that backup center via trade, but they still need to get somebody else. They can sign Preston Achiuwa, and if they do, to a reasonable contract, let's say $7 million, they give him a little bit more money than he's worth, but they give him a good contract. So they give Preston Achiuwa that contract. They still have that mid-level player exception that they can utilize to get another player on this team. Maybe that's a backup. Maybe that's another center. Maybe that's somebody else that we're not thinking about. But one thing we have to consider is if the Knicks can't trade for that center, then they're going to have to be creative and try to get a backup center on this team. Now, you heard me at the start of the show. Well, Troy, if they look at the free agent market, there's no free agents available there that the Knicks should go after. That's true. But if you're creative and you search really hard, you'll find a name. Maybe a name you don't like, but you'll find one. According to reports, an NBA executive wants the New York Knicks to sign Omer Yurtseven. Now, I'm sure you guys remember him. He was part of the Miami Heat a few years ago, and he had an okay type of season. He wasn't great by any stretch of the means, but he was good in the minutes that he did play. He did have an impact, and I remember at the time, a lot of people were saying the Heat struck gold. They got another one. This kid is going to be great. Until he wasn't. And then he was traded and did absolutely nothing. But now, potentially, this could be a time for the Knicks to be creative, look at the free agent market, even names that they weren't even considering of looking at, and potentially make the move and get that player on this team, because we're running out of options at this point. If you can't land the trade because your assets are too bad, you want Precious on this team, but Tom Thibodeau considers Precious Achiuwa more of a backup power forward. That means you still need a legitimate backup center on this roster. So maybe, if that's the case, you take some advice from this NBA executive and you look to try to get Omer Yurtseven on this roster. Maybe you do that if you're the Knicks. Let's take a look at exactly what this NBA executive had to say and why he wants the Knicks to go after this guy and target him. According to this executive, that's the wrong slide. Excuse me, guys. Go into this one. According to that executive, he states, for what they need, he might be a really good fit. His defense has always been a question mark, but they did a good job with Hartenstein on that, and I think they could do the same with Yurtseven on that end as well, too. When we have seen him, he's been very active on the glass, a pretty good scorer, and if you want someone you can bring off the bench and be a contrast to what you get with Mitchell Robinson, I think you'd have to consider him. Once again, Yurtseven is 26, so he's still pretty young. He played his first 2 seasons with the Heat before signing with the Jazz a year ago. While he wasn't a good fit with Utah, he flashed some potential with Miami. In 56 games during his rookie season, he averaged 5.3 points and had 5.3 rebounds per game for the Heat. He dealt with an ankle injury in his second year, which led to the Heat to move on from him. So we have to understand, he might have stayed a Heat if he didn't have that injury, because before that time, he was impactful, he was doing his thing, and he actually was helpful on the rebounding end and on the defensive end. And the Heat needed more defenders. They needed other players on that roster in case somebody went down with injury. Now, it didn't work out that way, and they went their separate ways, but the plan was eventually for Omer to be pretty good, to be a pretty good player for that team, and to be part of that rotation significantly. It just didn't work out. Injuries, other players becoming available, but now chances are coming up that, again, he could be somebody that the Knicks could target, go after, and get on this team. He can rebound. Not a great defender, but he can learn to defend under Tom Thibodeau. He's not going to play a lot of minutes under Mitchell Robinson, maybe a few minutes, but that's still something to consider, because even if it's a few minutes, you have to consider Mitchell Robinson still being somebody that could go down with injury, and you're going to need a replacement anyways. We have a super chat, so I want to go to that really quick before we continue here. Tony Riviera says, we need a defensive center that can score. Let's go Knicks. I appreciate you, Tony. Thank you so much for the super chat and for that comment. I agree with you as well. We do need a defensive center that can score. Mitchell Robinson is going to get you all of those rebounds, sometimes those putback dunks, and of course those block shots. But a lot of time, he's not going to give you anything on offense. That's why Omer Yurtseven, he might be a very good player for the Knicks to go after, because he does give you some offense. He does give you the rebounding. He can block shots. Maybe he's not the greatest defender, but he can learn that under Tom Thibodeau. He might not play a lot of minutes under Mitchell Robinson. He might play 18 minutes, 15 minutes. But you know what? That's still very good. It takes time away from Mitchell Robinson having to play more minutes. And if that's the case, that means you might have a healthier roster to end the season. And that's why you make an addition like this. That's why you add a guy like Omer to this roster. I have no problem at all with the Knicks making a move like this. If this is the only move to make, they can't trade for a backup center. Precious Achiuwa is the only player that they have to sign, and they still need more size. Having more size on your roster has no issue with me, because you already know with the Knicks big man, Jericho Sims is green. He can't play significant minutes. We've already seen that before. That experiment has not worked. Maybe he's going to change my mind this year, but he didn't do that last year. I didn't play enough last year to be able to do enough this year to change my mind. But we'll see with that. Mitchell Robinson goes down, we're going to have a big hole at the center position, and we're not going to know what to do. So the Knicks going after any potential free agent center, getting him on this team as insurance, just in case somebody goes down, I would love for them to do that. That's the best course of action for them right now. He may not be the sexiest name. He may not be the greatest fit of everybody available. And of course, if they went to free agency earlier, there would have been better names they could have went after and maybe got some of those names for a cheaper deal, because maybe they would want to sign with the Knicks at a vet minimum or whatever the case may be, because we were a contender. or excuse me, because we are a contender. So maybe that they could have done that. They could have swung that type of deal. But now it's too late, because now when you look at the free agency market, it's dried up. So now you look at Precious Achiuwa, you have him, and then you have Omer Yurtseven. You have him, according to this NBA executive, and the Knicks could target him. But other than that, those are the only two names. So the Knicks could potentially target him. An NBA executive wants the Knicks to target him, probably because he doesn't want the Knicks to contend on that trade market anymore. So I don't know who this NBA executive is, but it does help certain teams for the Knicks to no longer be a team trading for a center. Because right now, if the Knicks are available and they're trying to trade for a center, then they're a team that other people have to worry about. Once they're off the trade market and they're not looking to do that anymore, then other teams can pounce and maybe go after other players for a lesser deal. That's something to consider. But I have no problem with this. Hopefully the Knicks make a good move come this offseason in terms of getting that backup center. I think, personally speaking, they're going to sign Precious Achiuwa. They're going to get somebody else with their mid-level exception. I believe it's going to be a center we're not thinking about. Somebody that's a big, that hasn't played in a while, that maybe a lot of us have forgotten. They're going to use their mid-level to get that player on this team as well, too. Because it's looking like right now a trade just isn't going to happen. But that's where we are with that. The next topic I do want to get into, though, has to do about the Rockets and how the Knicks absolutely destroyed all their trade plans. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Houston Rockets have been very, very busy ever since their season ended. You know what the reports have came out indicating the Rockets have been trying to do? They've been trying to make a major trade happen, a monumental trade for a number of different players. We've heard Kevin Durant. We've heard names like potentially LeBron James. We have heard names from each and every corner of the NBA league in terms of players that the Rockets would like to go after that are all-star level, superstar level. But time and time again, they failed to land each and every one of them. One of the stars that they were looking to go after, the Knicks got him. His name, Mikal Bridges. For weeks, for months, I felt like for the entire season, the Rockets have attempted to get Mikal Bridges on their team, calling the Nets at each and every instant that they could. Is Mikal available? Is he available? Is he available today? I'll give you half my roster. I'll give you Jalen Green. I'll give you this player. I'll give you that player. They didn't stop. They kept going and going and going. But unfortunately, they couldn't get a deal done because the Nets didn't care about anything they had to offer. But then the Knicks make one phone call because our president is Leon Rose. And what happens? What happens after that move is made? The Knicks do the impossible. We break the curse. We trade with the Nets and get Mikal Bridges on this team. And in the process, by doing so, we ruin, destroy all of the hopes and dreams of the Rocket fans and the Houston Rockets organization from trying to make a trade for Mikal Bridges. It was great to read this following report that came out a few days ago. Shout out to NBA Central for giving us this following information. According to them, the Houston Rockets were open to trading Jalen Green for star players such as Jimmy Butler, Mikal Bridges, Paul George, and Kevin Durant. The Rockets tried to trade Green to the Brooklyn Nets for Mikal Bridges, who was traded to the New York Knicks. Houston was also open to moving Green to Phoenix Suns. Houston was also open to moving Green for Phoenix Suns superstar Kevin Durant, Miami Heat All-Star Jimmy Butler, and Paul George when he was on the Los Angeles Clippers, but now he's with the Philadelphia 76ers. So it's clear they went so hard this offseason to try to get another superstar on that team, a superstar that they can pair with their young talent to see what they could do together. I'm not sure why, because even if the Rockets made the trade for Mikal Bridges or for Jimmy Butler or for Paul George, what does that do for them in the West? What does that make them? A barely playing team versus the worst team in the league? That's the only thing I can see happening with that Rockets organization. I understand they want to try to capitalize on some of the young, good rookies that they have, but trying to trade for a superstar right now with the assets that you have, it just doesn't make sense. And I think because of the asset they thought they had When you're a bad team, you think your picks are worth more than anything. So sometimes you don't want to give up all of those picks. But when you're a good team like the Knicks, you know you have to give up a lot to get the player that you want. The Knicks understood the assignment and they did what they needed to do. The Rockets thought they knew and learned very quickly why you should never underestimate what reports and some rumors may say out there. Because if there's some people out there stating that the Knicks and the Nets have had conversations, starting to have conversations, or there are a number of reports out there stating that they're trying to make a trade happen for that specific player, and you're in the business, so you know that. Why are you continuously trying to go after that player? It doesn't make sense for you, and you give your fan base this false hope that you're never going to be able to deliver on. And that's exactly what happened with the Rockets. They tried every single method they could to give away Jalen Green and get that superstar. And now the Rockets, pretty much the same. Their roster, pretty much the same. Any difference? Pretty much no. And that's what they're going to be working with headed into next season. They didn't land Mikal Bridges. They didn't land Jimmy Butler. They didn't land Paul George. They didn't land anyone. And the Knicks were right at the center of it because they wanted Mikal Bridges more than any one of those players listed. And I know you guys know that. The reports about the Rockets' interest in Bridges goes back so long, so far. I think to the beginning of last season. That's how long they've wanted him. But they never got him. And when they were this close, the Knicks swoop in and we get him anyways. From our rival. They couldn't even do it and they're in a different conference. Talk about not getting the job done. They didn't get it done, watched another team do it better, and watched all of their dreams get trampled on and stolen. Why? Because the Knicks are run by Leon Rose, and we have a competent front office now. We don't have those people in the front office that don't know how to get a deal done, don't know how to get a trade done, get fleeced each and every day. No. We're not that Knicks team anymore. We're the team that gets things done. And in the process, we break the hopes and dreams of other teams. And that's exactly what we did with the Houston Rockets. For me personally, I absolutely love it. Take away their hopes and dreams. That's what you're supposed to do. When you're in New York and you have the power to affect that, you do it. And in the process, get the final piece for your team. Bravo, Leon. Bravo to this Knicks front office. I haven't seen them cook like this in my entire lifetime. But now, each and every day, Leon Rose is feeding us very good. We're getting spoiled because we're getting very good plates of food each and every day. We are very well fed here in New York. Leon's done a very good job, and he's going to continue to do that exact same thing. Before we go to your comments, guys, I want to go to one other topic. When I read this story, it did touch my heart just a little bit because I guess that little moniker of once a Knick, always a Knick, I guess it rings true to me, at least someplace in my heart. You might know the player I'm talking about here, former Knick Langston Galloway. You saw him on the Team USA Select team. Happy, excited, happy to play basketball again. You might be wondering, though, where was he? Where was he at? Why is he not in the NBA any longer? Well, he was overseas for a period of time, but now, according to reports, Langston Galloway is ready to make his NBA return. Let's go out to that one really quickly. Sorry about that. Where's that slide? There we go. Sorry about that. You know how it is with live sometimes. Can't find the right key when you want to, right? Let's go to that one, though. And we're going to get to Bullock as well. Don't worry. He's one of those topics after the chat we're going to get to. But going over here with Langston Galloway here, as you can see here, Langston Galloway hopes for another NBA shot. Galloway spoke with Anscape's Mark J. Spears and about his experience about practicing with Team USA. They spoke how awesome it was about playing with the collection of talent, meeting Vice President Camilla Harris, and his shoe line called Ethnics the Brand. Spears also talked if Team USA experience can help him get back in the NBA. And according to Galloway, that's definitely the goal. So there you have it right there. If you're wondering if his goal is to come back to the NBA, do something else, play overseas, now you know. His goal, maybe forever, has been to come back to the NBA. If I can get an opportunity from any team to lace them back up in the NBA, that's the goal. I have a few European offers on the table. I'm just waiting for a couple of things to unfold with the EuroLeague, Euro Cup situation team-wise, and then my team as well that I played for this past year. Obviously, they've offered me, but I'm just waiting for a couple of other teams, EuroLeague, to unfold. Then I can make a decision and see what is next. So it's clear for Langston Galloway, he wants to join an NBA team. And even though he's waiting for other teams in the EuroLeague to get back to him and give him other offers, I'm sure he's waiting for some NBA team to watch him and also give him an offer as well, too, because he wants to return. And I think if an NBA offer is on the table and all those EuroLeague offers are on the table, he would say bye to those EuroLeague offers and want to play in the NBA because that's the goal. That's his dream. That's what he wants to do. And how can you hate on a man trying to come back and live out his dream, live out his goal, wanting to be in the NBA again, no matter what team it was for? And maybe have a small piece of love in my heart for Langston because I remember him on the Knicks. I remember how good he was, how tough-nosed of a defender he was. I liked him. I liked his energy. I liked his hustle. So a part of me wants to see him get that comeback story, make a little bit of history, come back to the NBA, and hopefully have a very good career. It hasn't happened like that before. Think about it. How many players started in the NBA, left to the EuroLeague, came back, and had a phenomenal career? Doesn't really happen. But for Galloway, I'll be crossing my fingers because I hope it happens for him. I like Langston. I think he's a very good player when he wants to be. And hopefully another team will see that as well, too, and give him a chance. But all the best wishes in the world to Galloway, man. One of my favorite Knicks when he was on the team. Loved to see him before. And hopefully he can continue to play and live out his dream. Before we go to the next couple of topics that we have here, because we do have a couple of other topics, I want to go to the chat gang and see what you guys have to say. Shout out to you guys. Let's go out here, see what you guys are going over here about. All right, we got King Blaze over here. King Blaze says center, defensive rebounding that can score. Absolutely. And that's why Omer Yurtseven was one of the guys I was talking about. He may not have that defensive acumen yet, but in terms of rebounding and scoring, he can get the job done. Excuse me, guys. Need to get some water in my voice here. Excuse me about that, guys. All right, let's keep going here, though. GG says, Yurtseven should be a good fit for a backup center. I agree. That's what I'm saying. I think he would be a good fit if you can't make a trade. I want to make that clear. There are other players right now that potentially are available on the trade market that I would want the Knicks to go after. Duren being the number one player that I would want the Knicks to go after. But if they can't get that done, get a Chua in here. After you get a Chua in here, you can go ahead and get Omer Yurtseven and get him on this roster as well, too. He'd be an okay backup center, and he's better than nothing. And right now, he'd be available for a very low cost. It makes sense to me why they should do it, and there's really nobody else anyway. So they're limited in options, but very good comment. Let's keep it going here. Tony Riviera says, Galloway is mid to low tier. He's still a Knicks. That's true. Absolutely. He's a low tier player right now, mid tier at best. But at the end of the day, he was a Knick, and that's why I have a little bit of love for him in my heart. So I appreciate you, man. David says, man, Langston Galloway was one of the few bright spots when we really sucked. See, David, you understand, man. You have been a fan probably for as long as I've been a fan, 25 plus years, and it's continuing to grow on here. I loved him, man. I really did. He was one of the main reasons I watched Friday Night Knicks or any Knicks. During those times, it was hard to find reasons to watch games. Galloway gave me a reason because I get to see that young kid perform at a high level, always high intensity, never stopped, always gave his best. You have to be there to know. David obviously knows because he was there. I appreciate you, man. Sonic says, I totally agree with you. Plus, Knicks can sign him on a vet minimum. Absolutely. That's the thing there. Cost, people. Cost. We're talking about all these trades they're going to make. Cost. That's going to cost them a lot, and maybe they want to remain flexible with those assets. If they go after Omer Yurtseven, they're not giving up assets. They're giving up money. Low-cost money for somebody that helps you immediately. And he can play a backup role. He can play 15 to 20 minutes. He can at least do that. So I think it's perfect for the Knicks if they go after him. Let's keep it going here. Tony Rivera says, Galloway, best bet is doing what Marbury did. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, Tony. MJ says, Alfred Sengun package. We can sleep on that, MJ. It's not going to happen. Alfred Sengun is not going to be a Knick. He's not going to leave the Rockets. He's going to resign with the Rockets for a very significant offer. If not close to max money, then max money automatically. Because he's going to have another strong season. He's going to stay with the Rockets. They don't want to trade him. And I think Raphael Stone, they spoke out recently and they stated they love him. They don't want to trade him. Obviously, a lot of teams want him, but they don't have any intentions of trading him. So that's why you haven't seen me make a video about Sengun again. I think I made 2 videos about him. Then I stopped once I got the updated reports. And once I got the updated reports, there was no reason for me to do it again. So I was just waiting to see what would happen at that point. But very good comment. I appreciate you. Big Task says, Galloway is like a point guard. He was so-so when he was with the Knicks, but I wasn't too impressed with him. That's one guy we definitely do not need at all. Yeah, I'm not advocating for the Knicks to get Galloway. We don't need any more guards. We are full, set, and flourishing with guards right now, so we don't need anybody like that. However, I am saying that I think Galloway should get some time in an NBA court again. He should be able to play in the NBA again, and hopefully he can show why in the EuroLeague. Hopefully somebody's watching. He's young enough is all I'm trying to say. He's young enough. Big Task says the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages is absolutely a perfect time, a perfect way to put that. It was Dark Ages for a lot of us Knick fans. It was. But we also had a lot of good times as well during those moments, because through the bad, you also have to have some good, and I think we did. But now we're at a point where we can look back at those times and laugh because we're legit contenders. That's what it means to be a contender. To understand that the road moving forward is so bright, but understanding to get here, you have to go through a lot of dark times. But very good comment. Last comment here from Danny, and then we're going to go to the next topic here. So Danny says, Troy, do you think that Randall takes a discount on the new contract like Brunson? Very good comment, Danny. I appreciate you, my brother. I'm going to answer this question, and then we're going to go over to our next topic. So in regards to Julius Randle, I absolutely believe that Randall will be taking a discount. Again, I want to make that clear. Again, Julius Randle has always put this team before himself each and every time. He's even doing it now. According to reports from Ian Bagley of SNY, Julius Randle is telling the Knicks not to think about his contract extension, which is coming up in August 3rd. He's telling them, you know what I want you to do? I want you to go out there and I want you to get that backup center. I want you to get that backup center, get him on this roster, and make sure we're a better team because of it. You don't do that if you're worried about your dollars. You don't do that if you're worried about the money that you're going to be making. You don't do that if you only care about yourself first. Julius Randle clearly cares about one thing, and it's the Knicks moving forward in the right way and making sure that the Knicks are set up to make some noise next season. Is he going to take a lesser contract? Absolutely. He's still going to make a lot of money. It's not like he's going to take less money than he's making now. He's going to make significantly more money than he's making right now with his next contract. But it's not going to be the max, in my opinion. It's going to be less than the max, and he's going to do it to help this Knicks roster. Now, could the Knicks surprise me and they sign to a contract extension this summer? Absolutely. Brunson just did it. That one kind of surprised me, even though I thought it might happen. The Randall one, I don't think it's going to happen. But of course it could happen, and it could surprise me. And if it did, and the Knicks double down on Randall now, and he has an amazing year, the contract could look like a steal. If he doesn't, it could look like a very bad contract. That's why I think the Knicks wouldn't want to do that to themselves. They would want to wait, see how Randall comes back after injury, and then once they verify how that looks, then and only then will they give him a contract. And that contract is only going to be based off of all of the money that he's going to possibly be making as his playoff performance shines and his regular season performance shines. If he's not a great regular season player and he's not a great postseason player, he's not going to get a lot of money and he's not going to be able to get the contract that he wants. So there's 2 sides to this. Yes, he's going to get a contract extension. Yes, he's likely going to take less, but take less to an extent because he's still going to get paid a lot of money. but I still think he's going to help the Knicks in that flexibility because at the end of the day, it's always been Knicks for him, and he's always tried to help this roster. But very good question. I appreciate that. And we really got to go, if we're going to talk about always Knicks, everything Knicks, once a Knick, always a Knick, then I think we have to go to another player that had a very good career here with the Knicks and also a lot of success with Julius Randle. That was a perfect segue because when he was on the Knicks, he was touted of being as one of Julius Randle's best friends. And he can shoot the three ball pretty well as well, too. And you know who I'm talking about here? Reggie Bullock. According to reports, and this is coming from SportsIllustrated.com, they state the New York Knicks have some space open on the roster, and it remains to be seen what direction they will go with. An option that hasn't been explored yet. So I want to make that clear. This is an option that nobody is stating. Nobody's saying the Knicks are going after Reggie Bullock. Nobody's saying that Reggie Bullock is interested in coming back to the Knicks. This is something from Sports Illustrated, just noticing that Reggie Bullock is available, and the fact that Reggie is available and the Knicks have the cap space to get him if they wanted to, he's just wondering why they haven't done so. And because of that, he's saying the Knicks should go after him because clearly he has experience with this team. But let's see exactly what he's saying about Bullock and why he wants the Knicks to get him. So according to Sports Illustrated, they state, even though the option hasn't been explored yet about Reggie Bullock, he did play with the Knicks with the team from 2019 to 2021. Just 2 years removed from being a starter for a contender, Bullock could help in a pinch. He doesn't need to be that player, but his veteran experience and familiarity with Tom Thibodeau make him a potential candidate to sign. So as you can see here, Sports Illustrated wants the Knicks in some aspect to sign Reggie Bullock if they're able to once the season's about to start. And the reason they want him to do that is because he has experience with the Knicks. He understands Tom Thibodeau, how Thibs plays, his role. He obviously has a relationship with one of our best players on the Knicks in terms of Julius Randle. His skill set does fit here. He gives you a little bit of size. But again, would he have a role on this team given the current roster that we have? Maybe if relationships dictated role, maybe he would have a spot. But if it's all about your play, experience with this team, and also best player available at that position, I don't think Bullock is going to be playing on this team, even if he was added to this roster. And that's just my opinion on it based on the team that the Knicks have right now. I don't know if anybody's told you or if we're noticing here, but the Knicks are stacked right now. The Knicks are one of the best teams in the league at this point in time. And I think a lot of people don't even understand that. They are still thinking that the Knicks still need to add a couple of more pieces if they're going to be that legit championship team. Let me make something very clear to you guys. The Knicks right now, as I'm speaking to you, are a legit contender for the NBA Finals. They are, with the roster that we have in place. If we continue to make the right moves, we lock ourselves into the NBA Finals. That's what we have to understand here. That's the main perspective. If the Knicks were adding Reggie Bullock, it would be an addition to this team that would help us in the future because we know Bullock, we know his skill set, and we know what he can bring to this organization, how he can help this team, what he means to this team when he's on it. He's not going to be another type of player that we saw him be with the old school Knicks. He's not going to be that player anymore. He's going to have a different role, a bench role, a limited role. But that role might help the Knicks. I'm not going to advocate for the Knicks to go out and get him because we don't need any more guards at this point in time. But if they went after somebody that has experience playing under Tom Thibodeau, I would understand why they were making that move because it's likely they're going to make a trade at some point down the road. And when they do that, they're going to need assets to do that. And if they trade away a player that everybody likes, they're going to need to fill that role. And what better way to do that than a player you already have on your roster waiting in the wings? That might be a reason that the Knicks look at Bullock and actually sign him to That's why the Knicks may look at Bullock and actually sign him to a contract for this Knicks roster. That's the only reason I would see them doing it, because they would have a plan in place somewhere down the line to make another trade, and that way they can improve this roster. But other than that, does it make sense for the Knicks to go after Bullock at this point in time? In my opinion, it does not. Bullock does not help this team right now. His skill set is not needed. We already have what he can do in spades off the bench already and in spades in the starting unit already. There's only so many minutes to go around. And if we had, excuse me, my God, I can't even speak right now because I'm so hyped. If there's only so many minutes to go around, and we know that, and we know Tom Thibodeau is going to be very frugal with the minutes he gives out to the certain players we have on the roster, then why is he going to sign Reggie Bullock, a player that he likes, that he's not going to be able to play consistently? We did that with Alec Burks, right? How did that work out for Burks? Did it look good for Burks? Because when he started and he came here, yeah, he played a few games, but it didn't work. It didn't look good. And Thibs found out really quickly that even though he had experience with this guy, it's about chemistry, what works and what fits. And eventually, we saw what worked and fit. Miles McBride, not Alec Burks. And if Reggie Bullock came here, it would be the exact same thing. We would have the same realization happen. So I hope the Knicks don't make this move. They don't have to make this move. There are other things they could do, but I would understand it if they did, because for me, that would signal and indicate that they're likely going to make a trade somewhere down the line. But that's the only thing I can see here in regards to this report. But again, the Knicks don't really have interest in this. This is just Sports Illustrated circling the block here and saying, well, you know what? Reggie Bullock is available. The Knicks have money available, and he used to be a Knick. So why not just put those two things together? I know it's easy to do that and sometimes a little lazy to do that, but don't do that. We don't need to continue to do that just because he's a Knick. He's not a Knick right now, and honestly, doesn't really need to be. But shout out to SportsIllustrated.com for giving us that information. Before I go to the live chat, like I always do, and I break down some of your comments, take some of your questions, and answer some of all of these things that are going on around the league or with some of these teams, with the Knicks and all these things, I want to break down our last topic for today. Now, last week I did it, and you guys liked it. Now, I'm not saying each and every week we're going to do it, but when I find somebody that fits the category, we are absolutely going to be making these type of videos and moving forward with these type of segments. And you know what I'm talking about? Hater alert. That's right, guys. We have another hater alert. A hater's in the building. He's talking some stuff about the Knicks. I didn't like it, and I know for a fact you guys aren't going to like it either. You might be asking yourself, well, who is it this time? Who is the hater? It's an NBA legend, guys. And I don't like to talk about it, but I'm going to have to. Hater alert, Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, one of the best big man centers in the game. He was a hater recently, and he was talking a lot of smack about the Knicks, their championship aspirations, and how they do things in New York. I didn't appreciate it. I thought he was hating on the Knicks for no reason at all, and he wasn't giving them props. He wasn't saying what you guys know and what we all know. The Knicks are a legit championship contender right now, and you have to put some respect on us. But some people, like Shaquille O'Neal, he didn't. Instead, he said the following about the Knicks. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong slide. Let's go to that one. This is the one. He said the following about the Knicks. New York is a place that's built on hype, and a lot of cities that's built on hype, that controls the hype. They can hype everybody else up. New York, they haven't won, but New York hypes. Young fella can play. He's talking about Jalen Brunson. I was wrong about him. He's impressed, but they're nowhere close to winning a championship. They're going to win some games and do this. But no, he said, he's not giving them any credit. He's not giving them any type of advantage. And he's not letting everybody know the truth here. He's basically saying the Knicks have hyped up everybody on their team. They've hyped up their roster, and they've even hyped up their championship aspirations. The Knicks do not have any championship aspirations, according to Shaq. They're going to win some games, and that's it. If that's not a hater, then I really don't know what is. I must have lost my hater handbook here, because I thought hating on a team before they played even one game is considered a hater. So Shaq, congratulations. You and Brandon Jennings, you have both made the Hater Alert series. Congratulations to both of you guys. And I have no idea why. You're a Hall of Famer. You should be calling it like it is right down the middle. The Knicks right now have one of the best rosters that we have ever had in my lifetime. One of the best teams defensively that you're ever going to see. Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby is legitimately one of the best wing duos in the entire league. They are going to shut down so many people defensively. And offensively, they're never going to get enough credit. Did you guys know this about OG Anunoby? When he's shooting corner threes, did you know he's about 50% from shooting the corner three? Did you know Mikal Bridges doesn't just do this with his hands because he likes to look at his hands after he makes a basket? He's an assassin from the three-point line, especially from the corner. The Knicks added both of those guys. They're on the same team, and they're regarded as the best wings in the NBA today. Both of them are on the Knicks right now. The best point guard the Knicks have ever had, superstar point guard in Jalen Brunson, on the team right now. Him by himself took a hobbled Knicks team all the way to the Eastern Conference semifinals. And we were this close to getting to the Eastern Conference finals. What are you talking about, Shaq? I'm confused here. Were we missing our three-time All-Star and Julius Randle as well, too? I'm sorry. I'm confused here. Who's hyping who? Did we hype Jalen Brunson to get an All-Star bid? Did we hype him to be All-NBA? Or did he just become that? Did we hype Julius to get that? Or did he just become that? Because I think a lot of fans would tell you the Knicks fans were hating on Julius ever since the thumbs down. So not a lot of fans were hating on him. Not a lot of fans were hyping about Julius Randle. They weren't hyping up Julius Randle. If anything, they were hating on Julius Randle. But how come he made another All-Star bid? How come he was All-NBA? How did those things happen if New York is hyping up everybody? And if the people we don't hype don't get those accolades, then how can you explain Julius Randle then? You can't. Nobody knew what Jalen Brunson was going to be. So how could we hype that? We're not hyping anything. We're living in the moment. And the moment dictates right now that the Knicks are championship contenders. We're here. New York, we're here. Right now is our time. 5-year window to win a championship. If you wanted to say that maybe the Knicks can't get it done in year 1, but maybe they'll start to figure it out in year 2 or 3, that's a different conversation and a different argument. And maybe I'm not this hyped to come at Shaq. Maybe I'm not even calling Shaq a hater. But when you make comments like this, when you say New York is just a hype machine and we hype our players, we hype our stars, and we are just a city of hype, and that's how we get to where we want to get to, you're being disrespectful. Not only to the fans of New York, but to the players who play for the team, who work so hard for each and every single one of their accolades. You throw all of these things in their face when you make comments like this. We're not going to be a playoff team that teams are going to fear. We're not going to be a playoff team that teams are going to consider to themselves, this was a bad idea having to face them in the postseason because they're going to run through us. You don't think teams are going to be thinking about that? Concerned about that? Scared that the Knicks are going to do what every single person on this planet is predicting the Knicks to do? Have a very good, successful season and be one of the best teams in the East? Because right now, that comment sounds like you're not following the NBA. That comment sounds like you just made it after the Knicks just got eliminated by Indiana from the playoffs. Because that comment has no vision, no understanding of what the Knicks have done to this point in time. The roster we have right now. The biggest issue last year to start the season, in my opinion, we did not have the pieces in place around that team that helped to maximize the impact of each of our stars. Stars being Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. The difference this year, we do. Julius Randle, how do you maximize his talent? What does he do best? Bully ball. What does that mean? 2 or 3 defenders in the paint with him. How do you make him better? Well, he's a good passer, so you keep the wings open with players that can shoot, so that way defenders can't leave those players, so he has more room to operate in the paint. Oh, we've done that. And if they double team him, he can pass to the corner and trust the pass and trust the shot because we're going to see it go in because the people in the corner are going to be Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Oh, wait, those guys shoot about 50% from three from the corners. Oh no, can't leave them. Jalen Brunson, can't leave him. The guys who were starting for us in the playoffs are now our bench players, and Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. What? What? What are we doing? What are we doing, Shaq? Shaquille? We want to make those comments? We're hype in New York? We're hype because of our team. Our hype didn't create this team. You think hype can create teams? For the last 25 plus years of me living on this planet as a Knicks fan, most of those years have been felt suffering. I was hype each and every year and hopeful the Knicks could do something, even on the years I shouldn't have been hopeful. And I'm sure a lot of other Knicks fans joined me with that. And if hype created a team, we would have been competitive years ago. Hype doesn't create players. It doesn't create teams. It doesn't create legacies. Your play does that. You know what's crazy that nobody says? Can you do that in New York? Can you play like that in New York? Because oftentimes when players want to play very good and they come to New York, they fall on their face because it's hard to do so. And that's why a lot of people avoid New York, because of the pressure. Now you're saying instead of the pressure, it's hype? Which one is it? We got to pick a lane here, people. Do the Knicks media have too much pressure on us? Or is it a little bit more lax? There's not really that much pressure because we hype anybody anyways. Pick a lane. Pick a side. Because what you're saying doesn't make sense. It's like you're not following what's happening right now. And that is getting on my last nerves. And the more I talk about it, the more mad I am getting. We're being underestimated each and every time, again and again and again, each and every week by different people, and it needs to stop. We have a championship roster right now, and that's not enough. We still get criticized. We still get hate thrown on us. What do we have to do? What roster do we have to create? What move do you want us to make so you can stop saying anything like this about the Knicks? I'll wait. Because I don't think it exists. You just want to say negative things about the Knicks. That's what it is. It has to be that. Because the comments don't make sense. Let's review it again, folks. New York hasn't won anything. They just hype. Even though he was wrong about Brunson, they're nowhere close to winning a championship. Nowhere close, huh? Nowhere close. Are we closer than we were last year? Are we closer than we were the year before that? Are we as close to a championship than we've ever been before? What is going on with some people in the media? Here's something to tell you guys. It's so crazy. Maybe you guys have forgotten this. For the haters out there, my mom told me a long time ago, if I don't have anything nice to say and my comments are out of place, I should shut up and close my mouth. Your comments are out of place. They don't mean anything. Nothing. So stay shut and watch this ride the Knicks are about to take you on. This finals ride. And I want to see what you have to say at that point in time. Oh, the Knicks haven't won anything. The Knicks are not champions. The Knicks didn't do this. They haven't even played a game yet. They haven't played one game. But last summer, everybody was hyping up the Phoenix Suns. And New York can't be hype? You sound foolish. You sound foolish. You do better, Shaq. Do better, Shaq. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, Shaq. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But that's where we are right now. This is where the hater alert is. It's squarely focused on Shaquille O'Neal. And it won't come off until we have another hater to add to the list. Again, guys, if you enjoy this particular mini-series of these live shows called The Hater Alert, please leave a comment below. Make sure you let me know about that, because if you do, I will create another separate series called The Hater Alert, where I do just these videos about haters hating on the Knicks, whether it be fans, NBA players, NBA personalities, whatever it is. But please let me know, because I would love to do that new series for you guys. And we also have a lot of new content coming up. I can't wait to get to that. But without further ado, that's going to be the end of this portion of the show. We're going to go right now to everybody's favorite part, the live chat interaction. I'm going to get the live chat up. We're going to talk to you guys, get to your comments and everything you have to get to. We're going to run, I think, for about 30 minutes or so. So about to 1:45. So a lot of time to speak with me and hear what you guys have to say. So I appreciate everybody for joining the live stream at this point in time. Delve into those comments. Make sure you're talking to me. Get me your comments. This is the time to ask me any question about a player on the team, reports I may have heard, not heard, what's going on. This is the time, folks. Let's see what you guys have to say. SB says, why shouldn't us Knicks fans be excited? We have a damn good roster. That's what I'm saying, SB. Why are they hating for? Why can't we be happy? We've been suffering for so many years. We get this much happiness, and they want to hate on it. For what? Doesn't make sense, man. Double A says, Troy, just think how sweet it will be when they eat humble pie. Yes, hate hyped, hate by a hater. There you go. Thank you so much, Double A. I appreciate that comment. It's going to be so sweet. I can't wait. You have no idea. I'm so looking forward to this season. What are they going to say, folks? What are they going to say to the Knicks? What are they going to say to us? Oh, yeah, you're good. You're not great. You're okay. Nope, can't say that. We have one of the best rosters we've ever put together. You can't say that. Never. Good comment. Tony says, I'm mad after this year. No more TNT. Very good comment, actually. I don't know if you guys heard. There's no more TNT. This is last year on Inside the NBA is going to be on TNT. There are talks, though, I believe, that Amazon, they do want to buy the rights, I believe, to Inside the NBA. I don't know how that's going to work. I think Charles Barkley wouldn't do it unless TNT was going to be there. I don't think Ernie Johnson would do it unless Turner Broadcasting was there, given how long he was, part of that. And that was the whole biggest issue anyways with TNT, with Ernie. He wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So I think that's where it is right now. It is upsetting, though. It is upsetting. I did like Inside the NBA, but I'm excited for the changes and the new stuff as well. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like change. I'm not opposed to it. Sometimes change could be better. Why does change have to be a bad thing? I don't have any problem with that. Let's see. Who else we got? JJ says Mike Breed and Clyde. Yes, that's still going to happen, though. We still have MSG. The only difference is that the games are going to be, it's going to be a lot more every day now, because every single day is going to be a game on a different network, different channel, different somewhere. So clearly the money's going to be different, but you're still going to have MSG network games. That's not going to die out or end. Regional games don't end. The only thing ends with that is that their advantage, their extra probably percentage that they would get from carrying that load, they wouldn't get it anymore. It's more balanced. So is it fair? It depends on where part of the market you're for. If you're a lower market, they probably love it. If you're New York, you probably hate it, a la James Dolan. But good comment there. Let's see. I think I said Hotep. Hotep says Shaq is from Jersey, but he was raised in New Orleans. I don't care where Shaq is from. He got to stop running his mouth. He got to stop. That goes for Brandon Jennings, too. These people think they can come up here and say whatever they want to say about the Knicks, and it's not right. It's not okay. You can't just come up here and say whatever you want to say about the Knicks and have no type of anybody check you. He is wrong. He might be a legend. And in the game, he was phenomenal. I'm not taking away anything from what he does on the basketball court, what he did, his legend, his impact, whatever. But in terms of his comments about the Knicks, that right there, which I love, I cover, and I know, he is absolutely wrong in every single way. There's not even a way to say he could be right. He's not even working or operating with facts. He's making that opinion off of another opinion. There's no facts in anything that he said. This is just something that I believe was to get everybody else mad and talking. If that's the case, congratulations. You did it. Let's see. Big Task says, question to Troy, everyone. What would you think about DeAndre Ayton to the Knicks? I definitely answered this question already. I got to take another drink here. This is going to be my answer to DeAndre Ayton each and every time. Go Google what Blazers player missed a game due to freezing cold weather. And when you do that Google search and you find the name and you look at the clips and the reporting and you realize that this man is a millionaire and can probably pay everybody on his street to hot dry his entire pavement to the stadium, you think to yourself, yeah, I don't want that guy. I don't want the culture killer. I don't want DeAndre Ayton. Ayton gives me Andrew Bynum vibes. Some of my guys in here remember Andrew Bynum. Very good center for the Lakers. Turned out to be a lemon everywhere else that he went to, and then eventually went out of the league. Didn't go out of the league, though, before collecting a major, massive check from the Philadelphia 76ers at the time. Ayton reminds me of that guy. Plays when he wants to play, plays when he's motivated, can't be learned, can't be taught, just needs to play his own game. I don't like players like that. Ayton reminds me so much of that type of player. I just can't see the Knicks ever trying to go after somebody like that. He just doesn't have the mindset or the culture to fit in New York. He would be a failure of a move by the franchise. I would rather them go after Grant than go after Ayton. Ayton would be such a mistake in so many different ways. Whatever you want to say about the offense he gives you, he lacks so many other things, that it would be such a huge hindrance to have a player like that. A player whose value only continues to sink. His value has only gone down as he's been in the league. I've never seen a top rookie that's still touting he's one of the best have his value continue to sink. That doesn't happen if you're a good player. So I appreciate you, man. Let's see here. All right. I see some people are upset with James. I'll take him out. That's fine. Let's see. Let's see if I can just limit him. No, I'm going to put him in a timeout. I'll put him in a 30-minute timeout, okay? All right, there you go. James, you're in a 30-minute timeout, James, all right? I put James in a 30-minute timeout, everybody. He's on timeout. Bad James, okay? I saw some of the comments from the subscribers. They did not like what was going on, so I have to stop it, and I muted you, okay? You're on a timeout for 30 minutes, and when you thought about what you did, and you understand that the Knicks are the better team, you can come back here and you can respond. But until then, timeout, James. All right? Timeout, James. Let's see. Shout out to SB. SB, I appreciate you, man. Don't worry. I have your back, SB. I put him on a timeout for you. So when he's back, the show will probably be over at that point in time. So he'll have to wait till next show. I hope he's on his best behavior next time. Double A says, I'm excited to never hear the combo hate club of Shaq. I hate in order to talk about. I don't think my own thoughts. Kenny, I didn't get the New York GM gig. Smith, Charles Porkchop Barkley ever again. Double A going in. I appreciate you, Double A. I'm listening, man. I actually liked their trio. I didn't mind it. I liked the energy. They were funny. But when they talked about the Knicks, you were right. They always hated. They always hated about the Knicks. I can't deny that. Let's see here. Big Task says, yes, I remember Andrew Bynum. That's it. That's the thing for me, Big Task. He's an Andrew Bynum person for me. That's who Ayton reminds me of. And I don't want that type of culture in this locker room. So regardless of all the talent he gives you, doesn't really give you anything else. Let's see here. Appreciate you, by the way, Big Task. Appreciate you. Knicks 100 GM says 30 minutes is a long time. Listen, I didn't want to give him that timeout, man. I didn't want to give it to him. And sometimes I don't, because sometimes he's on his best behavior. You know me. GM, you know, you've been here. You know me. I don't do that. But if he's getting out of turn and it's causing the other subscribers to get upset, I'm going to have to mute him for a little bit. It's not my fault. I got to go based off of what everybody else is telling me. I can't let him run roughshod here. This is a Knicks environment after all. Got to go with the Knicks collective. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate you. Nah, I didn't ban him. I just muted him for 30 minutes. He's on a timeout. 30-minute timeout. That's it. He'll be back. I promise. He'll be back. You'll be able to kill him next week. It's just 30 minutes. He might come back with another profile. You never know. He could have other profiles. So we'll see. Let's keep it going here, though. Going to your comments. Let's see here. Ace of Spades says, Bismack, Biondo, Nerlens, Noel. Looks like you're giving a couple of other options here if you want the Knicks to go after him. I think Bismack is already signed, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think the Knicks are going to go after him. I don't think they can trade for him either. Nerlens Noel. You want Nerlens Noel on this team? Do you know what I figure about Nerlens Noel? Every time I think about Nerlens Noel, another person in this world drops something on the floor. I swear. If I've never seen a definition of Butterfingers before, he would be the definition of it by far. He drops everything that he holds. I don't even know how the hell he holds anything in his home. He must drop everything at least once when he holds it. Hey, Dad, can you give me help with this, assignment here? Drops the homework. Probably, hey, babe, can you help me with the grill? Sure, drops the grill. Probably drops the food on the grill. Not places it. He probably drops it legitimately because he couldn't hold it. Nerlens Noel's Butterfingers is one of the worst things that I remember seeing. He had a good year with the Knicks because Mitchell Robinson was injured that year, and he definitely took advantage and got his money that year. Probably made a lot of the money he shouldn't have made because he got an option before with Dallas to make a lot of money, and he didn't get it. But this time with the Knicks, he cashed in on it. And I'm sure he would cash in on another opportunity to play for the Knicks. But I don't think the Knicks would get any benefit signing Nerlens. Nerlens would probably be out with an injury when you signed him. He was always injury prone. I remember Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson being our two centers and always panicking when we had them two at the centers because they both could go down easily. And then we would be so messed up at the center position. Wouldn't have anything to do. That's all I'm saying about it. But I appreciate you, man. Good comment. Let's keep it. Ace of Spade. Even if he is available, bro, I don't want him, man. I can't have him. I cannot have him on this roster. I have PTSD with him, and he'll bring back a lot of bad memories. No thanks. Let's see here. What else we got? We got Hugo. Hugo says, Shaq was a great player, but turned into a pure bum before leaving. Listen, Hugo. I liked Celtic Shaq, okay? He fell very slowly, and I like the way Celtic Shaq fell. I think the way that Celtic Shaq fell was the slowest way a human being could fall in the entire league. So you're going to put some respect on him, Hugo, okay? You're going to put some respect on Celtic Shaq. All right? All right? But I appreciate you. Nah, I know. Ace of Spades, I get you, bro. There's no hate. I understand his ideas. And like I said, just because I don't agree with you, I don't agree with certain people on the timeline or on my comments or wherever we're talking, right? Just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I, dislike what you said or anything like that or have any problem. I think the best type of basketball conversation only comes from disagreements. If we all agree every time, we're never going to say anything different. Differences help grow the conversation. So I absolutely appreciate you giving me more names because a lot of people may have been thinking those names, but maybe not said anything. So you gave those names a voice. So I appreciate you for that. Let's see. What else do we got here? All right. We got Knicks 100 GM says, yeah, but for that one season, Noel was easily Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I'm thankful for Noel. He carried us. For that 1 year, you're right. It was very good. No question about it. He played well. He saved us. A lot of games saved us. But it's not about a season. It's about what you do for your career. His career with the Knicks is not a great career. Injured more than you played, and the one season you got and you got money for, you have nothing to show for it. So, I mean, we used to kill players for doing that. We used to kill players for having a good year with the team and then not being able to do the same thing over and over and over again. So he's in that territory right now. I don't hate him, but I would hate the Knicks going after a Noel because he does not fit anything of what we're trying to do right now, regardless of if he could play. There are just so many other options to go after at this point. I would rather them go after Omer Yurtseven because of his age and where he is than go after any former Knick that's old or anything like that. I don't think it would make sense. Let's see here. What else do we got? Double A says, Troy, Steven Adams is a get. If Detroit will take our 2 protected number ones, would you do it for Duren? Well, I covered that actually. If you look at the trade, I'm going to take the chat off. Look at it. I said earlier in the show that Sean Daverty from theheavy.com wants the Knicks to get Duren, but they want Duren to come over by this trade package, Deuce and 2 first-round picks. Now, in my opinion, that wasn't the trade that I wanted to do. I didn't want the Deuce McBride included in that. I would love if we had Precious Achiuwa and we could add those protected picks and get Duren. But Duren right now, he is seen as one of the top players in the league. Not top players in the league. One of the top players for the Pistons on that roster. So they're not going to give him away for free. He's going to cost a significant amount. That NBA executive that we were talking about, and even Sean Daverty of theheavy.com, they both indicated that trade package may not be enough to get Duren on this team, but they would make that trade happen if it was on the table. But I don't think it is. I think if it was, the Knicks would already have done it, because that's an amazing deal right there. You get significant value back, even though you're losing Deuce in the process. You're still getting an amazing value back. So I would like that. Steven Adams is coming off of a lot of injuries. He is very strong. But again, it's always about cost. I don't mind the Steven Adams addition. I actually don't mind any addition for a center as long as the cost makes sense and they have a right role and their role is defined. I'm not going to add somebody just to add somebody. And some of the additions we're talking about are just ads. Steven Adams is a very strong player. He is injured a lot, especially the later as he goes in his career, but he is strong. As a backup, I wouldn't mind it. But remember, you want a backup that's likely young that can play in case Mitchell Robinson goes down. You get somebody like Adams, and then he goes down after Robinson goes down. The only person you have left is Jericho Sims. And it's clear the Knicks do not like Jericho Sims as the only person there, because if they did, they would change a lot of that. So I think that's something to consider and think about right now. It's unfortunate, but this is where we are. The Knicks at this point in time, they are with the roster that they have. They understand who it is, and they understand all the people that they want on this team moving forward. So I don't think that they're going to go out there and try to make other trades for these type of players unless the need arises for them at a desperate situation. And maybe that happens at the trade deadline. I don't know if that happens at any other time, though. Trade deadline, though, potentially you're probably going to see a move happen if you don't see it in the offseason. But we'll see exactly what happens as we move forward throughout the time with the Knicks throughout the season. I don't think Steven Adams is going to be in play, though. And I think Jalen Duren just costs too much. But good question. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Simon, I should say, excuse me. Simon says, Nikolai Vucevic for Mitch and Precious. Ugh. Oh, my God. Nikolai Vucevic for Mitch and Precious Achiuwa. Oh, goodness. Why? 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 Why Vucevic? Great offensive player, getting older, can't really rebound, can't block, can't jump, can't defend. So you want him to come over here and what happens? Tom Thibodeau kills him because he can't do anything? No to Vooch. No to Vooch. Thanks, but no thanks. Jabari Smith. I don't know. Jabari Smith. Not available, I think. If he is available, cost. Anybody for me is perfect, depending on cost. I would entertain it. I would definitely entertain it if Jabari Smith's available, but it has to be based off of cost. But because of the cost, I don't think it's going to be possible for the Knicks to even make that deal happen. So that's just my 2 cents on it, but it wouldn't make sense at this point. Nick P says, do you think Stewart would come cheaper? I do. I do think that Isaiah Stewart would come cheaper than Jalen Duren because Duren right now is on a low contract. He's very valuable, and obviously he's young. So he's more desirable to teams than Isaiah Stewart is. Isaiah Stewart already made his name in this league. He's not that young anymore. He's seen as a more aggressive player, so he has to be on a certain roster to have that type of player. And even more than that, he's getting about $15 million per year, so he's no longer cheap. If the Knicks would get him, they have to understand it's going to mean a very huge commitment for them. So could they go after them? Sure, but I don't know if he would be the number one option. I think Duren would still be the number one option. And if Stewart became cheaper, maybe they jump to him. But there's a lot of ifs there. But very good question. Rakesh says, cannot afford a Jabari Smith Jr. They would ask for Mitch and more, and he's undersized. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. I would listen to it, though. What I was asking, they were basically asking if that was available, if it was something that was attainable, would you do it? Me, of course I would. I would at least entertain it and see what would happen. But if you're asking in terms of reality, no. Same thing like Alfred Sengun. No. They're not going to be trading anybody of significance because they don't need to trade anybody of significance. They're already the same team they're going to be. And all the assets they wanted to trade, nobody wants. If they wanted them, they would have had another player join their team. They're shooting for the stars, and they're shooting too high. Way too high. No matter who they got on this team right now, it would not matter. They would not be anywhere near the playoffs in terms of finals. That's just that's just my point of view and perspective on it. We have a few more minutes here, so let's see what we have to do. Other comments we have to go here. Robert says, if we make a trade, I would do the Triple J trade. Don't mind the Triple J trade, but when you do that trade, just understand Julius Randle is absolutely gone in that trade. And then ask yourself, are you still doing the trade if Julius Randle's out? Because I'm not. I'm not doing that trade if I have to give up Randle. I'm not going to do that to my team, especially without me seeing it at least once. For the very least, let me see it at least once before I make this decision and judge me. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to AA. Mitch says Mitch should not get traded just to trade him. Unless we are getting something back significant, we shouldn't trade him. I'm excited about what Mitch will do having OG and Bridges. He will have the most freedom he's ever had. Really? Yes and no. His role doesn't change, does it? That's the thing. His role doesn't change, AA. He's still going to be asked to defend, to block shots, put back dunks, and rebound. Now, maybe he'll have other people that can help him do that, so the job becomes easier. But I don't know if it opens up his game in a way that makes him able to do anything better. Because when his game was open before, what could he really do? He can't really put it to the floor and dribble. That looks pretty bad. Can't play with the basket. Can't set very good screens. I do agree with you that the Knicks shouldn't just trade him to trade him. They should trade him for something that's significant, that makes sense, and it will have an impact. Because as of right now, under Tom Thibodeau, Mitchell Robinson has a very good impact for this team. However, the freedom aspect of that with the team that we have, I don't know. He'll have freedom, sure, but I feel like you're saying he's going to take advantage of that freedom. And I don't know how he would be able to take advantage of it because his game doesn't have any way to take advantage of it. He doesn't have a back to the basket type of move. And you would need that to take advantage of other people being in the paint with you. He would need that to be able to put back dunks easier or be a lob threat. They don't throw him any lobs. I don't think that's going to change this year either. So the defense gets better overall. The paint defense gets better, but Mitchell Robinson's role doesn't change. Not at all. He gets more help with it, but doesn't get freedom, in my opinion. There's nothing that he can do nothing that he can do next season that he couldn't already do last season with the roster we had before. In my opinion, anyways. But maybe you feel different. I'd like to hear your comments as well. That's not only from AA, it's from everybody. A few more comments here, and then we're going to end the show. Been going for almost 2 hours here today. We covered a lot of topics, guys. I'm so happy that you guys are sticking with me through those topics that we were covering. And also, one more thing before we go to these next couple comments here. So keep adding the comments. But we're going to start doing a new show starting next week. It's called Knicks Live. That show is going to be me interviewing other content creators all around the world. Mainly Knick content creators, but it won't stop with Knick content creators. I'll go across the field to some other fan-based content creators. Maybe a Nets fan-based content creator and go head to toe with them and see what that has to do with. But I think a lot of people have been asking for more collaborations, more people on the show, different personalities. So I want to be able to give you guys that particular show. It's going to be a different type of show. We might not cover a lot of Knicks news in that show. We're going to talk about the Knicks, talk about what's already been reported, and maybe if breaking news happens while we're doing the show, we'll talk about the news. But that show is not going to be about breaking news. We have the regular videos for that. We have these live streams for that. these Friday streams for news breaking down type of things like that. So you can look for those for that. But that's just another show that's going to be coming out. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy that. It's going to have a very good deep dive into that person's fandom, how they became a content creator, their thoughts on the Knicks today, my thoughts on the Knicks today, more interactive with you guys. So I'm sure it's going to be a blast. Another way for you guys to get to know me and other people that I communicate on a day-to-day basis with. And just another way to get more content. I'm not done there, though, by the way. More shows are coming. We're also going to have the fan sessions. The fan session show is where I'm going one-on-one with you guys, where you break down with me your past with the Knicks, how you became a Knicks fan, where you are today with the Knicks, how it's influenced you, your career, your life, and everything like that with the Knicks today, and everything like that. That's also going to be a different show and a separate series. I told you guys, this upcoming season, I am going off. If you thought the content was there before, it's going to be even more content coming out now. So hold on to your seats because you're not going to want to miss what's going to be coming. But remember, circle your calendars. Next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m., I am going live for Knicks Live. We're coming back, and I'm going live with a content creator. Who, you ask? I'll keep you in the dark for that for right now. But if you wait and you follow me on social media, you will understand exactly who that content creator is going to be. I can't wait to announce it. Well, let's go back to the chat, see your comments. And I'm going to also be able to get to some of your more comments here and see what you guys have to say. So last comments before we end the show today. Knicks GM says, I saw you on a show with that other guy. You was mad calm. You are right, Knicks GM. I was mad calm because when I'm doing it as a host and I'm the host, I have a way and a platform that I have to engage with you guys. And this is me at my top hype, absolute passionate right now. This is me 24/7. If I'm engaging with somebody online or I'm talking with somebody, this is how I am. When I am winding down and I'm on somebody else's show and I don't have to run everything and I don't have to do everything and I don't have to handle everything. Yeah, I am a lot more calm. I'm still me. I still went off in that. If you saw the interview, I went off when he was playing a Nick Wright quote to me. I went crazy on that, went off. Kind of like I did with Shaq. However, one of the things to mention, though, is because I'm not handling all those other things or I'm not looking at 50 things at the same time, it's so much easier to be relaxed and just talk Knicks. And hopefully for Knicks Live, you're going to be able to see the same thing because I'm just going to be talking with somebody else, not talking directly with you guys. So you guys are going to be able to see back and forth the conversation and how intense these arguments get because they get very intense, especially with me and how much I like to talk basketball. So let's go back to your comments, though, but I appreciate that, Knicks GM, and I am glad you follow me enough to see all the things that I'm doing. Really do appreciate that. Double A says, great show. Smash the like button and subscribe. It's going to get hot in here. I appreciate you. Big Taz says, let's go, Troy. Double A says, been a fan since 1970. And Big Taz says, wow, salute. Thank you guys so much. That's going to be the end of the chats and the comments for me. So I appreciate it. That's going to be it for the show. We have been running for about almost 2 hours now. We talked about a number of different topics today, covered a number of different things. I hope it informed you guys, helped you guys get some new information you didn't have before, and hopefully has you even more hype going into next season. We have a lot more new shows to get you. We have a lot more new shows to get to you guys. So stay tuned for that and those announcements. I cannot wait. I am so hyped to give you guys even more shows, more content, and more footage. So much more to come. And you guys, please start looking forward to it because I know a lot of you guys are going to be enjoying it and loving that content. But until next time, that's really going to do it for this episode. We are done here for today's live stream. I will be back with you guys next Wednesday and next Friday with 2 more live streams your way. So please don't forget to circle your calendars with that as well, too. But until next time, Knick fans, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans, peace. And of course, please don't forget, if you're not a member already, hit that member button, join to become a member right now, and unlock those exclusive perks because only members get access to them. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining, and I'm out of here.